Hi everyone, Anurika from Smart Business Solutions with you today. I believe most of you are working from home due to the current situation, and you may be wondering how you would claim the expenses while you are working from home. So, I'm going to take you through home office expenses and what expenses are allowed to be claimed in your tax return. These are my contact details. If following this video you're struggling with anything we have gone through, feel free to get in contact. Today's agenda is going to be in 6 parts. Firstly, I'm going to run through what are home office expenses and COVID-19 new arrangements. Following that, it will be running expenses and how to claim running expenses. And I will be concluding my presentation with occupancy expenses and when is a home a place of business. To start with, what are home office expenses? So, if you're performing some of your work from your home office, you may be able to claim a deduction for the expenses that you incur to run your home office, even if this room is not only used for work. And also, individuals who have a home office can claim the running expenses under D5 in your tax return, but you have to fulfill two conditions that they have to carry on all or part of your employment activities in a room at a time when other family members are not present, or a separate room set aside exclusively for the work purposes. The Australian Taxation Office has announced special arrangements this year due to COVID-19 to make it easier for people to claim deductions for working from home. This new arrangement will allow people to claim a rate of 80 cents per hour for all their running expenses rather than needing to calculate costs for specific running expenses. And multiple people living in the same house can claim this new rate. For an example, let's say a couple living together could each individually claim the 80 cents per hour rate. And also, the requirement to have a dedicated work from home area has also been removed. Please make a note, this new shortcut arrangement does not prohibit people from making a working from home claim under existing arrangements where you calculate all or part of your running expenses. And also, the claims for working from home expenses prior to 1st of March cannot be calculated using the new shortcut method, which is 80 cents per hour, and must use the pre-existing working from approach and the requirements. There are three ways that you can choose to calculate your additional running expenses for the 1st of March to 30th June period. First one being claim a rate of 80 cents per hour for all additional running expenses. Second method being claim a rate of 52 cents per hour for heating, cooling, lighting, cleaning, and the declining value of office furniture. And if you want to calculate the work-related portion of your phone and internet expenses or computer consumables, you will have to do this separately. And the last way being claim the actual work-related portion of all your running expenses, which you need to calculate on a reasonable basis. ATO has provided the formula for that, and I will be running through that in a later slide. Next, I'm going to talk about running expenses. So a deduction can be claimed for home office running expenses comprising of electricity, gas, and depreciation of office furniture. And this can be calculated based on the amount of the actual expense incurred, or 52 cents per hour. And I have listed some examples which will go under running expenses. And also, please make a note, like making a motor vehicle claim, a diary evidence should be maintained for 4 weeks to establish a pattern of working from home and justify the number of hours that you are claiming. Another thing to note, no deduction is allowed where no extra costs are incurred. As an example, let's say if you're working in a room when others are watching TV, you won't be able to claim a deduction for running expense because there is no additional cost incurred. The next example would be if the income producing use of the home is incidental. So, such as if there is a fax machine permanently left on to receive documents, you cannot claim 52 cents per hour on that situation. And please keep in mind that you will need to keep receipts for any home office equipment that you have purchased or any repairs, cleaning, or any such expense. You need to keep receipts to claim a deduction. Next, I'm going to run through telephone or internet costs. So if work or business calls can be identified from an itemized phone account, then the deduction can be claimed for the work or business related portion of the telephone account. And also, if you pay a rent on your telephone bill per month, this can be partly deductible if you're on call or if you are required to contact your employer or clients on a regular basis. Next, I'm going to run through depreciation on equipment. So, depreciation on home office equipment, including office furniture, carpets, computer, photocopier, scanner, etc., used only partly for work or business purposes can be apportioned. But to claim this depreciation on equipment, you need to maintain a diary for 4-week period, and this diary should show the nature of each use of the equipment and whether that use was for income producing or non-income producing purpose. And lastly, it should have the period for which it was used. Next I'm going to run through how to claim home office running expenses. There are two methods available for calculating a deduction for home office running expenses. So the first method being the actual running expenses method. So under this method, actual costs are calculated based on a formula provided by ATO. And the next method being the standard rate method. And under this method, a standard rate of 80 cents per hour from 1st of March and 52 cents prior to that is used to calculate a deduction for home office running expenses. Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about the actual running expenses method. So if there is any additional heating or lighting costs incurred as a result of an individual working at home, may be based on a reasonable percentage of the annual household power bill, you can claim a deduction for that. And the formula given by ATO is mentioned in the slide, but I will be running through an example so it will be more understandable for you. So in this example, we have calculated the actual running expenses for Julie. So Julie has kept a diary for 4 weeks, and based on that, we have calculated the home office deduction for her. In the first line, you can see declining value of desk. So the value of desk is 450, and we have depreciated it over 10 years. So in the first year, we have claimed a deduction of $45. And the second line, it says declining value of chair. So the value of chair is $200, and we have depreciated over 1 year. So we have, in other words, we have claimed the full amount in the first year, which is $200. In the next 3 lines, you can see we have claimed the electricity charges based on the hourly cost per appliance provided by the electricity authority. As an example, she is using 60-watt ceiling light, and according to the electricity authority, the hourly cost is 5 cents. And then she's working 10 hours per week, and we have multiplied that by 48 weeks. In case if you are wondering why we have used 48 weeks instead of 52, it is because we have excluded the 4 weeks of annual leave. And please make a note that if an individual is using actual expenses method to claim a deduction for home office running expenses, he or she has to keep actual records to substantiate the claim and to show the extent to which they are incurred in deriving assessable income. Next, I'm going to run through the second method of claiming home office running expenses, which is the standard rate method. So ATO has provided a set rate of 80 cents per hour from 1st of March and 52 cents per hour prior to that. And this average rate is designed to cover the basic home office operating expenses of electricity, gas, and depreciation of office furniture. So if we calculate the home office running expenses for Julie, which we mentioned in the previous example, if we use standard rate method, her home office deduction for 2020 income year would be 294, which is calculated based on 52 cents per hour into 10 hours per week, and we multiply this by 32 weeks, which is from July to February. And then we have calculated the 16 weeks based on 80 cents per hour. However, please make a note, if you're using the standard 80 cents rate, other home office claims such as depreciation for computers, telephone expenses must be determined separately, as these are not incorporated in the 80 cents or the 52 cents per hour rate. Okay, so we have come to the last bits of the presentation today. So I'm going to run through occupancy expenses. Please make a note, these occupancy expenses are very different to running expenses, because claims for occupancy expenses are allowed only if the home is used as a place of business. And these occupancy expenses include rent, mortgage interest, water rates, repairs, or house insurance premiums. And these claims can be made by apportioning the total expenses incurred on a floor area basis. And please make a note on the warning that I have mentioned in the slide. So being able to claim these expenses may affect your main residence exemption for capital gains tax purposes if you sell your house in the future. So what that means is, if you use a part of your home as a place of business, and if you are going to claim the main residence exemption when you sell the house, you won't be able to claim 100% on that, and there had to be done some adjustments. So please keep that in mind. And if you are going to claim occupancy expenses, you should know when is a home a place of business. So there are few requirements to be dealt with. The first one being the area is clearly identifiable as a place of business. So let's say if you're using part of your garage as a place of business, so it should be clearly identifiable. So it shouldn't be like just a garage. It should have at least a signage post saying the name of the business or something similar. And also the area is not readily suitable for private or domestic purposes. And the area should be used exclusively for carrying on a business. And lastly, the area must be used regularly for clients or customer visits. And please keep in mind, if you use your home to carry out income producing activities as a matter of convenience, in other words, because it is easier, you are not entitled to claim a deduction for occupancy expenses. And lastly, it would be very rare for an employee to be able to claim occupancy expenses unlike running expenses. So yeah, so that's the end of my video today. Hope it was helpful to you, and hope you gained something out of it. And if you have any questions regarding home office expenses or any other concerns, please feel free to get in contact. And thank you so much for watching this video today.